You'll have to forgive me here. There are some pronunciations that are a bit trying because I don't know any Portuguese apart from what I have gleaned from watching UFC. You know,
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. I am Andy. That is John. And it is time for John to offer up a song for me to go check out so we can discuss it in detail. John, how are you, buddy?
Better middling.
Excellent, man. Excellent. So who is the artist and what is the track?
So we're going down the Brazilian path as I want to do every now and then. The artist is Jorge Ben. Have you heard of him?
No, I have not.
Fair enough. All the better for us. So the track you definitely would have heard of is Ponta de Lanca Africano. In brackets, its unofficial title is Umbabarauma.
Oh, of course it is. Okay. Well, great. None of that means anything to me, but hopefully the song will. By the time I'm through with it, let me let me go off and check out Mr. Ben and his sound, and I'll come back and tell you my thoughts. Early days, but I am getting strong old-fashioned blues vibes from this, and to be more specific, the kind that is cut from the Mississippi Delta cloth or branch of the blues sound. Yeah, I am digging that. That's a lovely sound. I always love me a bit of blues guitar. Interested, just given, the name and, the title. I don't think this is, I don't think I'm getting any renditions of Robert Johnson or anything from this. Maybe it'll be an interesting bit of fusion or something like that. That's my guess anyway. Let's see where it goes. My interest is piqued. Ooh.
Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma.
That bass is so goddamn hypnotic underneath all of that. And yeah, the percussions are great. There's this... I know it blatantly says Africa on the screen, so I'm trying to think that I'm not... my assumption isn't being determined by that or influenced by that, but definitely has this Afro-Caribbean vibe, but it's a little bit pulled back because of the bluesy nature of it all, which is an interesting mix. Yeah, I don't need to understand any lyric of this to know that it's gonna be good stuff. I'm gonna enjoy this. That's great. His voice shines here.
Joga bola, jogador. Pula, pula, cai, levanta, sobe, desce, corre, chuta.
The vocals.
Vibra e agradece. Olha que a cidade toda ficou vazia nessa tarde bonita só pra te ver jogar. Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma, Omengo. bola, jogador.
Nice, the hand claps.
Bola, corocondô. Joga bola, jogador. Joga bola, corocondô. Here, 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 jogador. Here, 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 corocondô. Here, 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 jogador. Here, 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 corocondô. Tererê, 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 homem gol.
This is great. Yeah, I'm going to take this back a little bit. All of this, first of all, these female vocalists who are joining them in this chorus of voices that they've got going on here are absolutely pulling their weight in this track. They're adding so much to it. Whether it's the direct, like, where they're all singing and they're harmonizing with his voice, or where they're doing this call and response bit. And also, there's also this, like, amalgam of both, where, like, he'll deliver a line, and then he and them together will deliver the response to his solo voice, which is an interesting way of doing things too. It all sounds great, and the that sounded awesome. And there was another bit earlier in the track where they were adding these little, like, vocalized, I guess, like, sort of vowel sounds in the background that were, it's just adding texture to the vocal tracks and to the song as a whole. Which already has some really cool textures because of all these interesting bits of percussive work that are being, everything from drums, auxiliary percussions, to even just those hand claps a moment ago. It's enriching the soundscape. All right, let's take this back a bit and listen to these great voices commingle. Sounds good.
Umbabarauma, Omengo.
Oh, that bass.
Omengo, Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma, Omengo. Umbabarauma, Omengo. Joga bola, jogador. Joga bola, corocondô. Joga bola, jogador. Joga bola, corocondô. Here, 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 jogador. Here, 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 corocondô. Here, 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 jogador. Here, 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 corocondô. Tererê, 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 homem gol. Tererê, 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 homem gol. Essa é a história
love that.
de Umbabarauma, ponta de lança africano, ponta de lança decidido. Umbabarauma.
Yeah, that was an interesting bit of world music and fusion. It's started, and I was instantly taken to, the southern United States and the blues scene down there, sort of before it moved by way of Great Migration up to Chicago and St. Louis and other places. So it really sounded like that. And then those percussions came in, and they had this, Latin or Caribbean African kind of feel to them. Obviously, his voice is terrific, but he was speaking in what I believe is Portuguese, which, as you can probably imagine, I know fuck all. But his voice sounded great. Their voices sounded great. Those accompanying female backup singers, and the way that group of voices and his voice worked together was great. All of it added together to this really interesting world music cocktail that I enjoyed every sip from. Yeah, this was really cool. I'd like to learn, hopefully John, I don't know if they're available online, probably, but sometimes we have next to no luck when it comes to identifying lyrics, and it's even worse when it's in another language and you have to try to catch them or translate them. But I wonder what these lyrics translate to and what the subject matter is here. But yeah, it's just another example of one, how impressive it is that blues music and can make its way into all these different places. Like we've already discussed, the Middle East, as we listened to, is it Makdu Mahar? I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but excellent guitar player, tapping into a blues sound from a completely different culture. Here, this sounds like some Southern Hemisphere stuff going on here too, which with its Latin and Afro vibes, but also incorporating blues. So it's just always fun and interesting to hear, a Western style and other culture styles of music sort of working together and creating this melting pot that is always refreshing to me. It also, just in general, the idea that music is transcendent from, whether it's their language barriers, cultural barriers, obviously geographic, all these barriers can be knocked down with great rhythms, lovely melody, voices that sound authentic and true, and all of it just works to it does to the point where it doesn't matter. All of those things are no longer obstacles. In fact, they're oftentimes the things that are the most enriching about listening to this kind of music, knowing that you can go anywhere and there's this sort of common denominator or through line that connects us all. And music and art in general is oftentimes the largest, most shining example of that. So yeah, I loved this. A lot of fun listening to this. I'd love to learn more about this gentleman and this song, and the only way to do that is to get back and meet up with another gentleman, Sir John. So let's do that right now.
Nicholas Parsons, he's back. So you've had to listen to Umbabarauma by Jorge Ben. So I await with anticipation for your detailed translation.
Yeah, I was going to say the same to you, Mister in charge of the lyrics for this one. The whole time I was just thinking, thank God I didn't offer this one up to John. And then I was thinking, God, I hope he finds the lyrics, because if he has to not only decipher them and then translate them,
No
God,
chance.
what an endeavor.
No chance.
Oh man, so yeah, this was great actually. The song kicks off with what to my ears sounds like this bit of old-fashioned blues guitar, specifically the kind cut from the Mississippi Delta cloth. So it's got that southern blues sort of. It sounds more modern because the clarity of the production, right? But the style speaks to like pre-Great Migration Southern blues, before it matriculated into areas like St. Louis and Chicago, and kind of evolved from there. So I thought really interesting, given what I know about the artist and what I'm discovering in real time, because he is not from this area, I would assume. Maybe you'll check me on that, but very interesting start. I'm already kind of like captivated by the idea of, because we've instantly I'm taken to Makdum Mahar. Forgive me, I'm butchering this gentleman's name, but the amazing
Do Mokhtar.
Mokhtar. There, thank you. I'm instantly taken there, where it's like the same idea where blues rock guitar is now becoming like sort of enveloped into the culture of Middle Eastern music, and here we have something at least reminiscent of that being done with the Southern Hemisphere and South America, and tapping into to that same sort of blues-based Western sound. So all really cool. Makes me smile to hear these kind of things, develop and blossom. So yeah. Then shortly after, the rest of the band saunters in to the juke joint with some killer bass work and a drum beat and overall approach to the percussions that had more than just a dash of this Afro-Caribbean spice to it. The tempo is a little bit not that because it's trying to conform to this blues guitar, but the instrumentation and approach is certainly akin to that, which I thought was another interesting meshing of sounds. Um, and just as my brain is computing the Afro Caribbean rhythms, the singer begins and all but confirms the suspicions based not only on the song title and the aforementioned percussions, and the fact that I now see behind you Brazil, emblazoned in the title, and you having confirmed it during the intro. Our man singing in Portuguese, the language of Brazil. So, as you could probably imagine, I flunked right out of my high school and collegiate Brazilian classes and just stuck to Spanish. So none of this is hitting with me, but it all sounds so goddamn good. He is soon joined by a chorus of accompanying female vocalists, adding to the richness of the sound. So while not understanding a word of what's being said here, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that this sounds fucking terrific. What I believe is the chorus kicks off, and I have to say that Mr. Ben's voice shines even more during this, when he can kind of like lean into some of it a little bit more. And it's not but maybe a couple seconds beyond the 1 minute mark, and I'm starting to really hyperfixate on that rolling bass line. It's subtly engaging and hypnotic. You just get like you'll often describe it as like circular or something. It's just this you fall into this like tumble dry cycle just listening to this and nodding along, despite the fact that there's some other amazing shit going on here that I was lucky to catch as I pulled myself out of this bass trance. After a bit more of that group vocal work, they deploy that old trick where the rest of the music cuts out, save for the drums. I think we literally just heard that on another track you'd offered recently. So, for added percussive texture, they inject hand claps throughout this portion, and Jorge Ben begins singing again and is soon joined by those female vocalists, again, who shift from playing that classic sort of call and response game to harmonizing with him. And it's funny because at one point the call and response dynamic is him, and instead of it being him them, it's him them and him who call back into it. So that all sounds really great. It's super engaging. Those women really shine and are in a way the stars of this track. Though that I've mentioned at this point that are myriad examples of like star quality shit happening, from the Delta blues guitar that drew me from the very beginning, to the bass line that had its teeth firmly sunk into me, to just his voice alone being really, really great. All of it adds, up to be a wonderful piece of music to this point. There is this particularly infectious bit where they call back and forth with this day 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 sort of thing where they're doing that, and I love that so much. I don't know what it is. There's this other part that preceded that where the female voices are a little bit back and they're doing like vowel vocalizing or something to just add little odd bits of punctuation to his performance. Loved that bit too. So again, perfect example of whether they're doing a lot or they're doing a more subdued bit of vocal additive. It's all great. It all shines so wonderfully in this. So yeah, they do this, and it perfectly acts as an exemplar of how like rhythms, melodies, hell, just music in general can and does transcend culture and language barriers. As simple as it was, I found it super charming and engaging, and yeah, I really really liked that bit a lot. The song then carries on to the end with a continued group vocal work splayed across and over top these rich rhythmic textures. This was a lot of fun and undeniably a compelling listen. And I really dug this bit of, I guess you'd call it world music, because he's from a place in the world, obviously, as we all are, but he's taking from others and adding it to whatever his, in this case, Brazilian perspective on music, and creating this sort of, international treat. That for, if you're a fan of one bit of it, to hear these other things added is a real fun bit of like exposure to perhaps sounds, music, styles, instrumentation that you don't normally hear. We've got a couple handfuls of songs that meet that criteria on this channel, but it never gets old hearing it. And as I stated before, when I alluded to Madu Mokhtar, it's great to hear it from different regions. And yes, we've been to South America a couple times and, over to the Middle East, and now we're back here again. But no matter where you end up on the map, it's just fun and interesting to hear this kind of stuff and someone's approach to making this sort of beautiful Frankenstein of music. So tell me some more, buddy.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thought you might. I thought you would be hooked on that bass.
Yeah.
And if not, then the fucking percussion is just amazing as well.
Oh,
And all the other bits as well. So yeah, this is a seminal piece of work. It really is, and considered a very important album in the history of music as a whole. So you'll have to forgive me here. There are some pronunciations that are a bit trying because I don't know any Portuguese apart from what I have gleaned from watching UFC. Participants and the jiu-jitsu terms, and that's about it. So struggle, but bear with
and
me.
we all know that UFC Portuguese is the Queen's English version of Portuguese too. So I'm sure your education is top shelf.
I mean, yeah, my knowledge of Brazil is limited really to samba and football, but and a little bit of cinema as well. But yeah, so Jorge Duilio Lima Menezes, born in 1939, is a Brazilian popular musician, commonly known as Jorge Ben, who performs in a samba style that also explores soul, funk, rock, and bossa nova sounds. So he has a very long career. He's still alive now, so you can imagine. So I'm only going to skirt through and highlight a few bits because there's a few really interesting bits as well. So his original approach to samba led him through participation in some of Brazil's most popular music and most important musical movements, such as bossa nova, Garda, and Tropicalia, with the latter period defined by his albums Jorge Ben in 1969 and Força Bruta in 1970. He has been called the father of samba rock by Billboard magazine. So he started musically messing around at the age of 13. By the age of 18, he began performing at parties and nightclubs with a guitar given to him by his mother. He was given the nickname Babulina after his enthusiastic pronunciation of rockabilly singer Ronnie Self's song Bop Alina. It was in 1963 at one of these clubs where he performed that Jorge's musical career took off. He came on stage singing his song Mas Que Nada to a small crowd that happened to include an executive from recording company Philips. 1 week later, Jorge Ben's first single was released. Saw him, club, a week later, single. Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. That's the sort of thing would happen in the 60s, I guess, but just like wouldn't happen at all now either. But since the beginning of his career, he's been associated with the bossa nova genre, drawing influence from João Gilberto. This led to the release of 3 albums within 18 months, after which he was established as a singer, guitarist, songwriter. The series' musical style was described as a modern urban take on samba infused with other Afro-Brazilian rhythms, which made him very popular with the youth. So Ben decided to heavily syncopate elements of Afro-Brazilian popular music into his music, which he integrated with influences from American funk and R&B. Ben's pre-Africa-Brasilia work had long been characterized by riff-driven structures, rhythmic precision, and the use of percussion to create distinctive danceable grooves. All of this sounds very similar to Fela Kuti, going off from Africa to London, then America, discovering the groove, coming back and integrating those influences into his own country's music. It's a very similar path, which is it's great to hear. So, alongside the strong influence of African-American music on his early albums, his work began to gain more visibility and laid the stylish foundations for what critics would come to call samba rock, a subgenre defined by the fusion of Black popular music from Brazil and the United States, with Ben as its central figure. So we were talking about people just, creating genres or subgenres, and there's another one, as did Fela Kuti with Afrobeat. So the album, Africa Brazil, was released in 1976. The album was recorded in 10 days at Phonogram Studios in Rio de Janeiro with a large ensemble of musicians. You can just picture it, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of albums being recorded in a similar window of time, but you have to think about all the moving parts on this one and the different, instrumentalists that have to be a part of it. And that's what makes it, you go, well, damn, that's quite a feat.
I think at one point his backing band was 18 musicians.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And he probably got extra in for this. But anyway, so musically, Africa Brazil represented a shift in his artistry as he replaced his acoustic guitar. Well, you got those samba beats, it's that sort of beach sound with the acoustic guitar, and this the electric guitar, as you heard. As we discussed with the Arthur Voracai episode, this was also released under a military dictatorship that was going on in Brazil at the time. But it was avoided censorship as it just focused on a celebratory and historical tribute to Afro-Brazilian heritage. So it kind of skated underneath the iron fist of the junta in charge. This album blends MPB, which is Música Popular Brasileira, Brazilian popular music, samba funk, samba rock, and soul with African Brazilian percussion. And its lyrics address such themes as football, love, medievalism, negritude, and childhood. So personnel, Jorge Ben, please forgive me some of the pronunciations here, I'm best shot. Jorge Ben, vocals, guitar. João Roberto Vanderluz, piano. Daddy Carvalho, bass guitar. Gustavo Schroeter, that's an easy one, drum kit. João Neo Pereira, percussion. Pedrino de Neves, drums and timbales. Wilson de Neves, drums, timbales. The de Neves brothers. Jose Roberto Bertrami, keyboards. Luna, that's all it says. Luna, bass drum. Nene, Kuicha. Jalma Correa, percussion. Hermes, percussion. Ariel Valdo, percussion. Obadang Maglaliange, percussion, and Marcio Monterroyos, percussion. So, Umbabarauma. The song evokes both Afrobeat and rock and was chosen for the opening track for Africa Brasilia, becoming one of the greatest cuts of Jorge Ben's career. It is said that the inspiration for this song came from when Jorge Ben was in France with his band, who are called Admiral Jorge V. Or V, I presume it's the fifth. Admiral Jorge V. I mean, he saw an African striker at a soccer match who caught his eye and decided to pay tribute to him. The player's name would be Umbabarauma. Unlike other players that Ben has sung about, such as Zico from his team is Flamengo, I believe. Zico played for Brazil. Not much is known about Umbabarauma. Mysteries remain about his nationality, what team he played for, whether he was professional or amateur, or even whether Ben got his name right. In any case,
well, that one's important.
Yeah, in any case, the lyrics unite two of Jorge Ben's favorite themes, Pan-Africanism and soccer. Obviously, the image of the striker invokes a traditional African warrior, but whose battlefield today is on a grassy field. And the track carries a really strong African influence, with these phrases repeated in a ritualistic mantra-like manner and onomatopoeias that resemble Yoruba language phonemes. It has been described as, bracket in quotes, possibly one of the best songs about sports ever written, and prompted one critic to state that Jorge Ben should be considered the poet laureate of soccer songwriting. Sorry. In 2021, Rolling Stone ranked Umbabarauma as number 351 in its list of 500 greatest songs of all time.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Upon its release, Africa Brazil received critical acclaim with praise for its blend of genres. Africa Brazil was elected the 22nd in its list of 50 coolest records by Rolling Stone, and one of the few non-English language albums on that list. AllMusic said the album is undoubtedly one of the greatest classics of Brazilian popular music, praising Ben's mix of a funky samba, Afro-Brazilian rhythms, and powerful guitars, calling the result one of the most fascinating sounds ever recorded in Brazil. Critic Greg Kaz said the album turned out to be a universally revered heavyweight funk masterpiece. And music writer Robert Lever said that Africa Brazil is one of the most compelling records to burst forth from the Americas, notable for both its influence and timeless brilliance. And the album was also featured in the book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die.
Oh, shit.
And it just so happens, there's Deborah, I have a copy here. I was looking at this, and 1976, from which it comes, is a decent year, actually, and we have referenced it before. But there, in the pages there, is Jorge Ben, I believe.
Mhm.
On the same page as Rush, 2112. Not familiar with that. Not really keen on Rush. But Joe Nama Trading, debut album, Aerosmith Rocks. On the next page, Parliament, Mothership Connection.
Mm.
Awesome that is. And then we're into Penguin Cafe Orchestra and Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen. Great stuff. We go the other way. Hiss, Destroyer. Okay. Eagles, California. I mean, I did love that album. I played it to death, so I hated it, but it is actually decent. And ABBA Arrival, can't argue with that. Boston's debut album as well. Modern Lovers, Bowie, Station to Station, etc., etc. What a time to be alive. So I'll get to the lyrics. Now, I've got both sets here. Some of the lyrics are untranslatable. So I will do my best to let you know. I can pronounce some of it. Some of it is just a bit much, and I will give you the English. So, Umbabarauma, Homen Gol. This is Portuguese, and he repeats it 4 times. Umbabarauma, Homen Gol, Homen Gol, Homen Gol. Joga bola, Coro Kondo. Joga bola, jogador. And then he goes into quite a fast bit. Pula kai levanta sox deske. Anyway, I'd lose it at that point. So the first bit, Umbabarauma is the name, and Homengol is goal man, as in striker. And then joga bola, Koro Kondo. Play ball, and Koro Kondo is, I believe, a proper noun. So whatever it is, that's what it is. And then play ball, and then jogador, player. And then that bit that I can't read out is basically actions he's creating there. Jump, fall, get up, go down. Run, kick, make space, cheer and give thanks. Look how the whole city was empty on this beautiful afternoon just to see you play. It's a bit like Zombie, Fela Kuti, isn't it? Sort of jump up, fall down, get up, salute, and all that.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, again, Umbabarauma, Homengol. And then it's a sort of pre-chorusy chorus. So again, it's that jogabola, jogabola, Koro Kondo, jogabola, etc. And then it's here, jogador, here, Korondo, here, jogador, here, Koro Kondo. And that is hey, player. So it's just onomatopoeic words he's doing there. Corando, player, Corando. And then it's home and goal, which, as we know, is goal man. Are just noises. And then it goes back into home and goal. And then we've got jogabola, jogador, jogador. So it all repeats. It keeps going. And then this sort of culmination at the end where they're all sort of singing together, he starts talking a little bit. As they're going, Umbabarauma, go mango. And he's saying, this is the story of Umbabarauma, an African striker, a determined striker, Umbabarauma. And that's it. Goal man.
Goal man.
It's great. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Just about football.
Not in a fucking million years would I have guessed that it was about an African footballer.
Perhaps.
That's crazy.
No one's sure if he's actually correct.
Yeah.
At this point, it really, it is what it says it is, because no one can prove it different. So just continue the thing on this. And from the same album, there was a song called Taj Mahal, which he re-recorded for this. In 1978, Rod Stewart lifted a melody from Taj Mahal for his song, Do You Think I'm Sexy? I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
Oh, am I?
There's a great version from the film Sorrow Man and Axe Murder, which is done on the
That's
bagpipes.
first thing that came to
Unbelievably
mind.
good. Yes, leather skin bagpipe. So Ben filed a plagiarism copyright infringement lawsuit against Stewart, to which Stewart admitted in his 2012 autobiography to unconscious plagiarism when he heard it while attending the Rio Carnival in 1978, so the same year as he was there, and he comes out with this song. So yeah,
Yeah.
the case was settled amicably, according to Ben, and the upshot was that Stewart's agreement to donate his royalties from the song to UNICEF, the United Nations Children's Fund. So happy ending.
Thanks.
And just another sort of little point here. In 1989, Jorge changed his recording label as well as his artistic name. He became Jorge Benjor or Jorge Ben or Jor. So it's either to get the Benjors together or separate. At the time, it was said there was numerous reasons for the change in his name. Other sources say it was a response to an incident where some of his royalties accidentally went to American guitarist George Benson.
That'd be wild if that's true.
Another little factoid. On Jorge's Copacabana open air concert on New Year's Day in 1993, it was estimated it was attended by a crowd of 3 million people.
God damn.
At the time, it was a Guinness World Record for the biggest attendance of world concerts. I think it's been broken since, but playing to 3 million people, that's a big beach, obviously, but that's quite something.
Yeah.
It's like, you're right at the back. 10 minutes later.
As if you can even see the back when it's that many people.
Wow. I just can't even picture 3 million people on a beach. I mean, fuck. Unbelievable. So Ben was presented with the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Latin Recording Academy in 2005. In 2012, Jorge was included in an unranked list of Rolling Stones Brazil's 30 greatest guitarists of the country. So just I'll come back to some of his stuff, but he has had a long career. In his time, he's released 36 studio albums. God knows how many other unofficial albums have been released stuff. The last one being in 2010. He's 89 now, so he's probably just plays his guitar for pleasure now. But yeah, this is I thought it was a great song, really great album. And it's that lovely sort of blending of different influences. And as I say, like a parallel storyline with Fela Kuti as well, to produce this stuff. So it's something a bit different as well. So yeah, I'm glad you listened to it. I'm glad you liked it.
Same.
I shall wrap things up. Folks out there, tell us what you think. And please do hit the like button if you like this. Yeah, let us know what you think of this song. Oh, Ben. I mean, I was mortified when I found out that this wasn't a song about someone selling mangoes on the other side of the road. I thought it was all mango, oh mango, and there's oh mango. But yeah, tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Other stuff is about Hoy Ben. We will come back to him and do other stuff as well. If you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting for? It doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't. So yeah, and we do appreciate everybody who does support the channel. So hop on board. The mangoes are free. That being said, thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.